whenever I talk about housing, there is usually this issue about the government taking $11.4 billion from the NHT. And sometimes the conversation takes place without context. And sometimes I have to wonder if the people who are speaking about it remember the genesis of it. This is not our doing. And if you look at the history of taking funds from the NHT for other purposes, again, it would not have been of my doing.
Now welcome back to another exclusive for life. Now blessing goes out to all my viewers and all my subbies, all my well wishers. Like, share and also subscribe if you haven't done so already. Coming up in today's topic and review. Now much blessings and blessing my viewers and my subscriber. Thank you so much for tuning in to another exclusive hot topic discussion and review. Now as standard, like, share and also let me know your thoughts on the topic discussion, today's discussion. Now we see where the Prime Minister of Jamaica defending the continuation of the 11.4 billion from the NHT for another 5 years, claiming it is to strengthen the economy, while we can see thousands of Jamaicans are still homeless and are unable to get any help still from the NHT. We also have this young lady in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, sending out a message to Iran, cause according to her, Fort Lauderdale is on the list of places Iran, I guess, issued to destroy because of what happened with Donald Trump.
I saw the city list and I realized that my city was on there, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I just want to say this.
Also in this one here we have this teen asking her mom if she can do Ramadan. Now her mom telling her no, because you love them so much, you can't do Ramadan. But I think her mom should let her try it. Maybe it will be to help her sustain her eating habit. I want if you check out this one. I want if you comment down in the comment section, because it's extremely funny, boy. Jaja.
Nadi Ramadan.
Ramadan?
Yeah.
We are so cribbing. You can't do Ramadan. Ramadan for people who are fast and you will love feel friggin' belly, so?
Yeah.
What kind of Ramadan?
But I've been thinking about it. Like, why not? Just do Ramadan.
You can't do Ramadan. Ramadan is for cribbing people.
Why not?
The way you love feel belly, Ramadan not gonna work out for you, sir. Sorry.
We also see where this man is saying that the continuation of Marcus Garvey's legacy is being sold out to the Chinese in Jamaica.
Jamaica, my island don't sell out. See there? It don't sell out. You don't believe me? Watch out. See that? That are the next side from where them give to the Chinaman them cross from Marcus Garvey homeland when he was brought up. See there? That's a tractor digging away your heritage. See there?
Now, all that coming up.
Oh no! Watch this, the man at XqLusivaSoundsUKTV represent for exclusive.
What's up?
Baby, let's go!
That video of a song, girl, where every day they get up with single life, nice, single life, yeah, and when they look, I want people from your come pick them up. Carry them go park them up in a corner and pour out them belly. And when them belly get pour out, and the man don't give them the money where them square out for. Yes, you know, when them come see me, our sister will come on with their face so easy to make the money, yeah them. Lord God, you know long enough. A long time now, would not go in this year. When we as man hear them, they fuck with them, we are going the girl, you know. Cause when man here, when the girl no feel long, we not for myself and say, what? Yeah, fight. You see the belong in there? You see the time we go so?
Look, me shame and kill me.
Nadi Ramadan.
Ramadan?
Yeah.
We are so cribbing. You can't do Ramadan. Ramadan for people who are fast and you will love feel friggin' belly, so?
Yeah.
What kind of Ramadan?
But I've been thinking about it. Like, why not? Just leave
Listen,
Ramadan.
you can't do Ramadan. Ramadan is for craving people.
Why not?
The way you love for your belly, Ramadan not gonna work out for you, sir. Sorry.
Yeah,
Don't
but
even
like,
push your luck. Ramadan is for craving people like you. The way you love for your fucking belly.
yeah, but why can't I do Ramadan? Would you let me? Why would you let
Ramadan
me?
is too fast, and you slow, and you love nyam. So Ramadan are for you.
No, I'm asking you, can I do Ramadan?
No.
Can I do Ramadan, please?
No.
Why?
So Ramadan are enough for craving people. You gotta fast for months to 12 hours. And you always love for your belly, sir. And love for your egg a morning time. You must be mad.
Well, yeah, you eat in the morning and then you fast.
Nothing I'm not at all. Till must be 9 o'clock at night, from 7 till 9. Sir, come out to my face.
Jamaica, my island don't sell out. See there? It don't sell out. You don't believe me? Watch out. See that? That are the next side from where them give to the Chinaman, them cross from Marcus Garvey homeland, where he was brought up. See there? That's a tractor digging away your heritage. See there? Alright, watch out now. See the fancy luxury apartment system there where we used to protest months ago or a year ago. They give the Chinese that. And you didn't think them done? Don't. Them not done, them just start. See there now? See there? It's Chinaman there. You might look away a Chinaman that I direct them. This is what we call laughing water. And see it go there? There was a no trespassing sign and a fence the other day and it gone. So the whole thing, jab them. Look there. Jamaica, look there. Devon, you see that? Our island don't sell out. People, join us in the struggle if you don't want to get sell out too. If you don't want to become like chattel. If you don't want to live on shame what your island do, join us. See there? This is not just the government. If you notice, the opposition silent. I'm walking close and make you see some foreign man I do this. Right? The opposition silent, the government silent, and the opposition silent. So it's a teamy thing in the corruption. Yeah man, point Chinaman, tell them what to do. Show them who run Jamaica Island. This is brand Jamaica. Brand Jamaica your ass, where you own. This is no brand. A brand did you get branded and collected and shared and spent. This is what happened. This is corruption. This is why money corrupt. The Chinaman them buy out the little politician them and put them in their pocket. And the land and treasures of this island is the luminous dividend. Yeah, my island don't sell out. But it can't be forever. Because we are going to take this back.
I saw the city list and I realized that my city was on there, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I just want to say this. The people of Florida might have voted for Trump, but mostly in Fort Lauderdale, from Fort Lauderdale down to the Miami area, we do not consider that Florida. That's considered the South Florida, like down in the Caribbean. Iran, we don't have mostly Americans here. Mostly Americans here. We're the people here, we're from Jamaica, Trinidad, we're from Haiti, Puerto Rico and stuff like that. We don't involve ourselves in stuff like that. So I'm just asking Iran, can y'all just please take Fort Lauderdale off of y'all list, because we don't have anything to do with nothing that's going on in the rest of the United States. Please, thank you so much, and I know that the rest of Fort Lauderdale is going to approve this message.
Whenever I talk about housing, there is usually this issue about the government taking $11.4 billion from the NHD. And sometimes the conversation takes place without context. And sometimes I have to wonder if the people who are speaking about it remember the genesis of it. This is not our doing. And if you look at the history of taking funds from the NHD for other purposes, again, it would not have been of my doing. Now, generally, if you're going to take funds from the NHD, it must be for a defensible purpose. And I recall when former Prime Minister PJ.Patterson announced the national education. It was a major reform program for education.
Now, viewers and subscribers, that's all a reason. The Prime Minister says generally taking money from the NHT must be, and the must be expressed, must be taken on a defensive measures.
Now, generally, if you're going to take funds from the NHT, it must be for a defensible purpose.
So my question, my viewers and my subscribers, for the past 10 years, the Prime Minister has been taking it for a defensive measures. Now the question is, Mr. Prime Minister, are you telling Jamaica that for the past 10 years, you have been taking that 11.4 million for a defensive means? Now we're going to hear the Prime Minister speak on PJ.Patterson and the reason why PJ.Patterson back in 1996 or something like that taken the 5.8 billion from the NHT.
Now, generally, if you're going to take funds from the NHT, it must be for a defensible purpose.
Now, can you rephrase that again for me, Mr. Prime Minister?
Now, generally, if you're going to take funds from the NHT, it must be for a defensible purpose.
Taking money from the NHT must be taken for a defensive purpose. And what was it taken for by PJ.Patterson was for what?
It was a major reform program for education.
Educational purposes. Okay. Because I need to establish that the reason why PJ.Patterson withdraw funds from the NHT is because of educational purposes. That was vital. What is your reason?
It was a major reform program for education.
Because it was a defensive measures which was necessary, because it had to do with education. At the time, the Prime Minister was the opposition education spokesperson. Now we're going to hear the Prime Minister said at the time he supported PJ.Patterson taking the 5.4 billion because it was a defensive means, whereas PJ.Patterson take that money to educate the nation, and the Prime Minister supported it. The hypocrisy is where he turned back around and said he criticized it, he opposed to it, he speak against it in Parliament.
And I supported the use of the NHT funds for education. In fact, I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it. When the vote came, I abstained because I thought it was important for education transformation to happen. I thought it was a critical national objective because without that, the country would be in a really bad state. And we were in a really bad state when you looked at our literacy rates, our passes at CXC, and the effectiveness of education.
So why did you later go back and oppose it in Parliament? And you were so passionate opposing it in Parliament. Why? If you know it was so good and you had supported it in the first place, why did you oppose it in Parliament? I did a blog about it. I could put it in this, but you can go check my recent blog and you will say what he said, how passionate he was defending PJ.Patterson not using the NHT funds to educate the nation. It just don't make no sense to me.
And so I thought it was defensible to use those resources for education. So again, when that was done, that huge transfer from the NHT, that wasn't the JLP government, that was done under the PNP, but it was a defensible position. My administration raised objections to it, but we did not pursue it further than the objections that we raised in the public.
Why did your administration object to it? Tell us.
Because we had to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture would be, what would be the impact of not having the resources? So
I rest my case. Because who of sense can see that this statement it made is just crap. Why did your administration object to it? Tell us. Because
we had to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture would be, what would be the impact of not having the resources? So
I rest my case. Him never bother gonna further in his action. Now, it's either what PJ.Patterson did was good for the nation and you support it, and you was the education minister at the time. I'm just wondering, why is it you went back in parliament and was so passionate about it? And the speech that you make, I did it in the last broadcast, and people can go back and check it. He was so passionate about it in parliament. Oh, PJ.Patterson, I take the money NHT, and never wanted him to take it. Now, you know what, yeah? It's only right I play this clip of the Prime Minister speech opposing PJ.Patterson using the NHT funds to educate the nation. And as you heard prior, the Prime Minister said he supported it because it was vital and important and necessary for the nation, because Jamaica was in a illiterate state, so it was important.
And I supported the use of the NHT funds for education. In fact,
he goes as far as to say when they voted on it, him hide from the vote.
I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it. When the vote came, I abstained because I thought it was important for education transformation to happen. I thought it was a critical national objective, because without that, the country would be in a really bad state. And we were in a really bad state when you looked at our literacy rates, our passes at CXC, and the effectiveness of education.
Now, as I said, for what reason would the Prime Minister go back in Parliament and object this statement where he made against something he agreed to at first, know that was necessary for the nation, but yet still go back in Parliament and made this speech to object against it? This is of the Prime Minister back in 2015. This is his full statement in Parliament. Listen to what the Prime Minister said. As I said, this is the Prime Minister defending the government at the time taking money from the NHT. And as a matter of fact, they wanted the money to fix the problem that the GLP government had created. And the Prime Minister, this is what he has to say at the time. Listen.
You know, I read the columns and I hear all the discussions. What I find is that people are very willing to just accept what is presented without a thorough interrogation of the options. Because you see, implicit in this argument which is being presented that this is a time of crisis, this is a matter of national importance, there is this great urgency that we must treat the law as a matter of convenience. And that is the danger of this debate. Convenience. I don't believe that the legislation that is presented here in any way perfects the intentions of the government. The issue, Mr. Speaker. The issue, Mr. Speaker, is that this present piece of legislation that you are hoping to amend that you are hoping to amend does not in any way relieve the consideration that you are taking private funds.
When you see the hypocrisy of this man, back then, you had different poor people, private funds. And as soon as you go in, for the last 10 years, you have been taking it. And now in 2026, you want to take it for another additional 5 more years. And look at you, how passionate you are. Then, 2015, about the PNP taking the 5.4 billion for fixed education, where you just said earlier on was in a deplorable state in Jamaica.
That you are taking private funds.
Take a look at Ms. Diarimpo and Colonel Charles Senior behind the Prime Minister.
One word that can describe government taking private funds without the consent of the persons giving it or of the persons who own it is expropriation. That's what it amounts to. You know, it wasn't any mistaken language when Michael Manley said it is the financial institution of the housing sector. Because effectively, this is where poor people would put their money, save it with that institution to get housing. Technically now, it is akin to you putting your money in the bank and the government going to the bank and say, give me the money. You want a better analogy? You want a better analogy? Oh no, that was good, but I'm giving you a better one. A better analogy, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure everyone in this country will understand.
Now I want you to listen carefully to what the Prime Minister is about to say. It's very important. This is the Prime Minister analyzed of the situation. This is how he described it, what he thinks the PNP is doing by taking the money from the NHT at the time. This is an analogist of what he think it is. And now bear in mind, he has been doing this for the last 10 years to us, and he planned on doing it another 5 more years to us. So what this says about this man, listen to what he's about to say, and I hope every single person that watch this blog understand.
Michael Manley set up an institution like a partner. A revolving fund. You put in your money, when your turn comes, you get your benefit. What has happened now is that the government stick up the partner banker, and I'm sure everyone in this country will understand. Government stick up the partner banker. For education transformation to happen, I thought it was a critical national objective, because without that, the country would be in a really bad state. And we were in a really bad state when you looked at our literacy rates, our passes at CXC, and the effectiveness of education. And so I thought it was defensible to use those resources for education. So again, when that was done, that huge transfer from the NHT, that wasn't the JLP government, that was done under the PNP, but it was a defensible position. My administration raised objections to it, but we did not pursue it further than the objections that we raised in the public.
Now, Mr. PM, why did your administration raise objection when you know it's for a worthy cause, education? And what was this thing in Parliament? What was this all about? Government sticking up partner banker. So doesn't you see it as you now for the last 10 years as the government has been sticking up the partner banker, and you want to do it for another 5 more years? And the big question is, when PJ.Patterson wanted to do it was for helping with education. Now you have taken it for the past 10 years and look at the education system. You haven't built no school. The school them all run down, and all these schools were built when PJ take that money. What have you done with all them billions over them years, and you still want another 5 years? For what we are going to do with it? What are you doing with the money? We don't see nothing improve in the country. Hospital run down, roads mash up, school, teacher now get paid, everything. What are you doing with the money? All you keep saying, is building a strong economy, and we still don't have a strong economy. Melissa come and he shows us that we ain't got a strong economy. All now, Mr. Holiness, children are homeless. People still have tarpaulin on top of their house. You receive billions, plus you say you borrow billions that they have to pay back, plus you tax every single thing. What are you doing all that money? What are you strengthening? Because I know say if you strengthen the hospital, that's strengthening Jamaica. School, that's strengthening Jamaica. Education. You literally destroy everything, bruv, underneath your watch. The police forces like madness. What are you strengthening in Jamaica? The only thing I see you strengthening is corruption and money going into your pocket. That's all. That's the only thing you're strengthening. You have been taking it for the past 10 years. What was you taking it for? So you are trying to tell us that you take it because for the past 10 years of your government, Jamaica been in a desperate situation. That's what you're trying to say. Come trying to make sense of what you're saying, because things ain't adding up to me. I haven't seen what have you done with that money you have taken for the past 10 years. And if you're saying that the money that taken from the NHT must be taken for desperate situation, and if you have been taking it for the past 10 years, that means we have been in a desperate situation. So if the country in a desperate situation, how comes you can find it fair to pay you and all of the politicians them, Labour Right and PNP, all these millions? So obviously the country are always a struggle, because it's like, the people them just a work for pay politician, not really a work to build the country so everyone can have a decent life. It's only certain people having a decent life in Jamaica, and that's not fair. Now you come with all this fancy speech, still trying to convince us that you taking this 11.4 billion from the NHT is necessary, and also that is for our best interest. Well, if that is so, maybe if you have taken some of that money and did what it was initially meant to do, maybe after Hurricane Melissa wouldn't have women and children and family sheltering in the school. The school need to open for children get their medication, but people are still sheltering in the school. Listen to this report.
JTA presses for deadline to remove hurricane shelterees from schools. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, is threatening further action if government agencies fail to present an immediate time-bound plan to remove hurricane-affected shelterees from school compounds. The union said the continued housing of displaced persons at several schools has become untenable and is demanding urgent relocation by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Should these demands not be met in a timely manner, the TA reserves the right to pursue other options to ensure that the Ministry of Local Government and ODPM take the concerns of educators, students and parents seriously, said JTA President Mark Malaver in a statement on Sunday. While acknowledging mitigation measures implemented by the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, including enhanced safety protocols and monitoring, the association said such steps cannot replace the full restoration of schools to their primary function. The situation was understandable in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane, Malabva said. It cannot become a prolonged or indefinite arrangement. The TA argued that continued shelter occupancy raises safety concerns, undermines public confidence, and hampers learning recovery. It also expressed frustration over what it described as repeated missed deadlines for relocation. Hurricane Melissa struck Jamaica on October 28 last year, killing at least 45 persons and causing widespread destruction of homes and business, particularly in western parishes. Should these demands not be met in a timely manner, the TA reserves the right to pursue other options to ensure that the Ministry of Local Government and ODPM take the concerns of educators, students and parents seriously, said JTA President Mark Malabva in a statement on Sunday.
And the people them we show them contribution gonna have to wait until after that, because it won't be forever. Cause more than likely, you know, with everything that you have done, you barely won the last election. You'd stand no chance with all that been unfolding of you winning the next election in Jamaica, you know. So you just on a collecting, cleaning up campaign. Get all you can get. Because you know you will not win the next term in Jamaica, man. I don't see it. Even though Jamaican people, I don't know, cause all of these people that sit there in them suit and them tie and say they are big educated people, I don't know if they don't see what the Prime Minister is doing. And they sit there and agreeing and laughing and cheering the Prime Minister and say, yes, Mr. Prime Minister, you're doing good. Damn hypocrites. Why they there hungry? Not for them, you know what I mean, in desperate situation. And the Prime Minister keep taking it from them. Now he's saying, if he don't take this money from the NHT, it's gonna put Jamaica in a worse situation. When either Africa start cut things, that mean them go either, me don't know what, remove the NHT, I don't know, and raise taxes. But the people them are so stupid to see that he's gonna take the 11.4 million and he's still raising taxes on the simple things them, the things them that he knows are necessary where poor people use every day.
In truth, my administration raised objections to it, but we did not pursue it further than the objections that we raised in the public.
You are a two-faced hypocrite person. You are a two-faced man. You're like you sharpen two-side man. It's a disgrace, man. Sure.
Because we had to look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture would be what would be the impact of not having the resources. So whilst you can't stop people from being politically convenient, it's the nature of the democracy. You make the political point, but there has to be some honesty in politics, in the political debate. The government isn't taking the resources from the NHT for, reasons that are not of national importance and concern.
Maybe you should tell us what was for the past 10 years the national concern that you had to take the 11 billion. What was that concerned? We understand, say, now Melissa struck, and you say, well, yeah, whole heap of people homeless and rated, but this 11 million we are going to take, you not take it for help them or for home them, so why are you taking it? What is the national concern? Because remember, you get how much donation, and remember, you still got borrow almost billions, where you say, Jamaica have to pay back, I just don't understand. It just not adds up. It just not make no sense. I know from the expressions of the people that listen to you, they know but what they play the hypocrite to your face and keep it in them heart.
And yes, we acknowledge that these funds are contributed on the basis that they will be used for housing. And this cannot continue forever. The government has to use these resources to strengthen our economic base so that we don't have to take the resources out of the NHT. And so when these matters arise within the public domain, the public has to understand, yes, there are the surface political arguments which political parties are constrained to make to offer the alternative position. But every Jamaican should seek to understand the issues more deeply than what is presented on the surface. Because ultimately, if you don't take the resources from the NHT and you have a massive deficit, you have to fund that deficit. And the only options that will remain to you in funding the deficit is either to cut the services to you or raise the taxes. I find that the public is getting far more understanding of what we call the economic issues. I think people are beginning to realize that there are no secret funds anywhere for which the government can deal with deficits. I think the public now understands that the international community is not coming to rescue us. I think the public now understands that borrowing is not an option, and therefore we have to make wise choices with the resources that we have. I will address this matter legislation is coming. I will address this matter in a more comprehensive way in the budget presentation, but I thought I would interrupt on the conversation which I see emerging in the public regarding the use of the $11.4 billion. And in summary of that point, we acknowledge that these resources are for housing. We acknowledge that this cannot continue forever. We are using these resources to strengthen our economic position so that we will be able sometime in the near future to use those resources for the purpose for which they are dedicated.
Now, viewers and subscribers, for who don't understand what the Prime Minister is saying, let me put some clarity on this. The Prime Minister is saying that he knows that the $11.4 million that he's taking from the NHT is for housing people. But for now, that have to go aside because the government have to use that the money there, yeah, for strengthen the economy. And after him strengthen the economy, which is when we don't know when that's gonna happen, then he must stop take that money from the NHT, and that money can then start use for house people. Now tell me if I know disrespect and sticking up the partner banker, as he said in 2015, the government is doing right now, this very minute. It's like him just a step in and I say, boy, people on want home, but right now, have to just wait, because government need it to strengthen the economy. That's what he's saying. And him just a take it. A badness him a deal with him just a take it. Now, we know said the opposition leader and some of the members are aiming to challenge this $11 million distracted from the NHT coming up in Parliament, I think in some next legislation supposed to be read out. And this is why him come now and I talk about it. But as you can see, this didn't help him. This only shows that he doesn't care about the people of Jamaica. Because how can you want to take the money and leave people homeless? What kind of government does that? And what are you using the money for? What are you strengthening? Buying arms for the police force? What are you strengthening in Jamaica with the money? Schools are run down and nothing develop in Jamaica where average Jamaicans are concerned. You keep building homes where average Jamaican can't afford. What are you doing? I keep asking you, Mr. Prime Minister, what are you doing to develop the nation? And you keep taking this money that should be helping the homeless. How can you take from someone that's homeless? Doesn't you feel like this person having a home is more priority more than anything else? Remember, Mr. Prime Minister, your fence around your yard, just your fencing, can house 1,000 people. The money you pay for fence around your yard the fencing alone can house 1,000 people.
And we also acknowledge the right of every Jamaican to be critical of positions that the government takes, but we urge Jamaicans to exercise deeper reasoning when these arguments are presented. The alternative argument to the use of the $11.4 billion is that this money should be used for housing. That's the logic of the argument. But the question that we must ask is, was it used for housing when it was there sitting on the balance sheet of the NHD? In other words, how could we have taken the $11.4 billion if it was being used for housing in the first place? You see the logic of what I'm saying? That you can't just accept surface, shallow arguments presented for political convenience. You have to analyze them very carefully. This is because of a fundamental problem of the housing market in Jamaica. So I make the point that I just made, not to score political points. It's a logical point that I want you to consider. The deeper point I want to make to you is that the challenge with housing in Jamaica, it is not financing. Let me repeat that. Joe Matalon pointed out that the NHD, which celebrates 50 years this year, when it was established, profoundly changed the housing landscape in Jamaica. It is seen as one of the enduring legacies of Michael Manley. I endorse it, and I don't speak about the NHD without acknowledging Michael Manley's role in forming the NHD and in establishing the NHD as a trust. I want to make one other point, because again, arguments are only presented on the surface. The public doesn't get the full context. It may surprise you to know that the NHD was established out of the NIS. In other words, the initial resource base of the NHD started from an allocation from the NIS. Should we have said that pensioners' funds should not have gone into the NHD? Again, be careful of superficial political arguments that do not elevate our understanding of history. Again, I'm not making those points for political reasons. I'm giving you some logical points.